welcome everyone to the main event, Mark's podcast. And we're getting spooky today for our Buried Alive episode. I am your first co-host, former radio guy and lifelong wrestling nerd, Troy. And my other co-host, he is the main event collector and WWE walking wrestling encyclopedia. He is the Bart gun to my Billy gun. He is Greg. What's up, Greg?
I knew you were going to use those two.
Well, what was the other? I was going to go with Owen and Bulldog, but then I spaced on it.
Then you realize you're not going to pull off either one of them, so yeah.
Who was I going to pull off from the Smoking Guns?
No, you can be a douche like Bart, but it's okay.
How dare you disparage the good goddamn name of the Brawl for All winner, Greg?
Wow.
What?
I don't know what to do with that.
He won the Brawl for All. But on this show, thank God, we're not talking about Brawl for All. Weird, I know.
Don't worry, we got that in the pipeline. It's coming.
Yay. Well, we talked about it on our bonus show for July when we talked about a Monday Night Raw from July of 1998. So if you really want to hear some Brawl for All talk, and why wouldn't you?
Here's how sad is your life when that's what you want to hear.
Yeah, it's like, I want to hear these nerds talk about Brawl for All. That's what I want in my life. I mean, thank you, but why? I don't know. But either way, we are talking about Buried Alive from 1996 today. Small confession, I've never seen this show. So this was my first viewing of it ever, so I've got fresh eyes, and I've got some various opinions on it, and I like to wind you up and watch you go off sometimes, so I'm going to throw in the occasional Uncle Dave comment just to see how you respond.
Of course you are.
Well, I saw a couple normally like his opinions of stuff, I'm like, I don't care, I'm going to leave it out. But a couple of these, I'm like, I gotta throw this in, just especially after. And if none of you have yet listened in the archives to our Fall Brawl 1997 episode, it's there's a bit of some anger or resentment or whatever you want to call it coming from Greg.
Chad.
Yeah, he was not happy that Uncle Dave didn't play along, and he told everybody about why Ric Flair was taking time off from WCW.
He's got to be that guy, just like every stupid fan on the internet.
I'm not defending him here, but you know who called him and directly told him all of this, right, Greg?
The Red Rooster?
No, the Nature Boy himself. I mean, we can't 100% say, well, exactly. But, I mean, if you read any of the observers, Ric Flair had a direct line to Dave Meltzer throughout most of his career.
Well, he's not exactly the President of the United States. I'm pretty sure anybody can talk to him.
Yeah, he's Dave Meltzer from San Jose, California. How do we get a hold of him?
I don't know, just go wait in the bathroom of the Sharks game. He'll come to you.
For those of you that don't know, Greg peed next to him at a Sharks game one time.
Yeah, that was a life achievement for me.
Hell yeah, achievement unlocked.
Next to Dave Meltzer, that's like 1,000 gamer score right there, I think. That's a big achievement.
At the very least. And also, I want to plug, Greg is in charge of a facet of ours. Stuff is coming down the pike, and the first big thing is Main Event Collector Instagram page. Kind of tell them a little bit about it here real quick going into break.
I just usually post a figure a day. Maybe it's one I just got. Maybe it's one I have, just to show off the collection.
And what's the handle?
Main Event Collector, all lowercase.
Nice. Okay, yeah. So it's at Main Event Collector, and that, like what you just said, hence why we are at Main Event _Marks. So,
we're the main events. We're no curtain jerkers, undercards.
But yeah, so there's our social media. Definitely go follow us on YouTube. All the latest podcasts are posted on there as well. And our July bonus show is only on YouTube, so go check that out. Most of our bonus shows they come directly on the podcast feed. The July one was not, and it's shorter than most of our shows. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about all the news and notes of this time in history.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Main Event _Marks and Facebook at Facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod.
Now, back to our program.
All right, we're back, and it is time for the news and notes. I know this is one of Greg's favorite, well, I think it is your favorite part of the entire show, when we get to break down all the news and notes from this time in history, which would be October of 1996. And also, if you guys want to send it, we can't jam everything in here, or it would be just a forever long show. So if you guys want to talk about something specific, if you want to hear our opinions on it or hear more about it, if we can find something on it, send it to us on social media. We'll see what we can do. But I assume you're ready for all of this.
As ready as I can be.
Okay, well, this first story here is, you know how I always try to start us off with the bad stuff and then pick us up later on, sorta. Well, this one is just ridiculous. It's an update on Hulk Hogan's extortion lawsuit from back in January. Hogan filed a suit against a woman named Kathleen Kennedy, who worked at his Pastamania restaurant, and her lawyer, because they threatened to go to the police and claim that Hogan sexually assaulted her unless he paid them off. Kennedy claims that Hogan forced her into oral sex, and despite her resistance, and also claimed that they have evidence that Hogan raped other women. Hogan is claiming extortion and attempted to get police to file charges against the lawyer for it, but the police declined. The lawsuit is still ongoing. Did you hear about this in the past? I think Eric Bischoff talked about it.
I heard of it, but I didn't hear any details, nor did I try to, but yeah.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Hogan ran didn't he have like kind of a commercial for it during the first Nitro when they were in the Mall of America?
Yeah, I think they even show it on camera, I believe.
Yeah, he was in the Pastamania restaurant. It was in the Mall of America where they had the first ever Monday Night Nitro. And, it was, from what I have heard from like people who actually went there, they said it was not good, bad. They said the pasta sauce basically tasted like ketchup. So,
Yum.
Yeah. The only reason anybody went there was because Hogan's name was on it. And Hogan didn't run it or anything like that. He basically like leased out his name and likeness.
I guarantee he probably was just there for the opening and never went back.
Yeah. Well, he was there for the opening. He was there for Nitro to pump it up. And then he was like, wait a minute, I have a restaurant in the Mall of America, brother?
When did that happen?
Yeah. What's the Mall of America? Well, he's a Minnesota boy, so he knows what it is. But either way, yeah. So this was...
Excuse me, he's from Tampa?
Oh.
Or Venice Beach?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, this was something. So this woman did not win this lawsuit. It was proven that she was full of crap. And this was...
Don't say.
Yeah, and this was before everybody and their brother was getting canceled for And look, I'm not going to get into any of that right now, but, we've seen all the people getting canceled for being guilty and not guilty. And obviously Hogan came out the other side of this, and no evidence was brought forward proving anything. So I assume he was, you could say whatever you want if you don't like Hogan, cool, but until this woman came along, I don't think anybody before or since accused him of being a rapist. It's to my knowledge, this is the only story that ever came out about Hogan's a rapist. Going on to something else here, WCW was nearly doubling the WWF when it comes to adult viewers because they have the stars that adults grew up on, like Hogan, Savage, Flair, etc. And even though the hardcore fans might not like those guys, they're still the names that the casual audience knows. WWF is winning the house show battle, however, because teenagers are more likely to attend live events, and WWF has the slight edge in teenage viewers, and Shawn Michaels is a big draw among teens, while WCW builds a company around Hulk Hogan, but he doesn't work house shows.
It doesn't work for him.
No cameras on? That doesn't work for me, brother. I'm called Hollywood Hogan, okay? No cameras? No thank you. Some of this was kind of conjecture and kind of,
No!
Like, well, yeah. But, I mean, some of this is grounded in fact, and some of this, like the demographics and whatnot, you can kind of guess why the demographics are the way they are, but I mean, that doesn't sound far off. I mean, you're different because you were still a kid during this time. You weren't even a teenager during this time, were you?
1997. 6. Oh, no,
yeah.
12.
Yeah. So you were preteen still. So yeah, I mean, you grew up on Hogan and all of them, but you would still be digging what the WWF was doing.
I favor the WWE the whole time. I would record Nitro and watch that after.
Yeah. So.
Well, I did that after they stopped airing it at 5 o'clock West Coast time. TNT used to put it on at 5 o'clock here, so I never had to worry about switching channels.
Yeah, I didn't know that was, like, I knew they used to do that. I didn't know they still did that kind of stuff until I went to my mother's house. She had a Roku, and she had TNT East and West. I was like, well, this is still a thing?
Yep.
So, I don't know. I don't get how that time zone thing works.
I never got that either, honestly, but
I actually found out that was a thing when we got cable for the first time when I was like 12 or 11, something like that. I don't know. But I was really young and I was like, wait a minute, there are East Coast and West Coast channels? What gives?
I remember going out of, not out of state, but far out of the area with my family one time.
Yeah.
And go to watch TV at a friend's house and all the channels are different. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like channel 2 is not 2 and 4 is something else and 12 is something. What is this?
I still had cousins that did that forever. They were like, put it on channel 5. And I'm like, channel 5 is different for me. Like,
you can't just channel? Why do I watch that?
Yeah, I was like, what's on 5 for you is not what's on 5 for me. Like, you have to give me a channel name, not a channel number. Obviously, some of this is conjecture, but I mean, it is true. I mean, it goes to say something when your world champion in the WWF, Shawn Michaels, works nightly, like even house shows, whereas Hulk Hogan does not. I mean, he doesn't even work all the pay-per-views, as we talked about a couple weeks ago. So,
but to be fair, at this point, he doesn't have to, and that was part of the deal. So, I mean,
I'm not
stupid, but I get it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was wrong for him. I was saying, WCW's building around Hogan as, oh, you're our champion, but you're not, you're only here like half the time. Kind of like Brock with WWE, except you'd occasionally get a Hogan match or promo on Nitro. So, oh my gosh, here's one. Do you remember Buddy Lee Parker?
Yes, that's Colonel Rob Parker, right?
No, this was I think it was Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that guy.
He wore
flat
fatigues
top.
and he had the flat top. Yeah, he almost looked like a Fit Finley in a way.
Yeah, I was about to say he looked like Fit Finley when he went hardcore.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm hardcore.
Oh, horse is sick. Sorry.
Wrong guy. But Buddy Lee Parker has been doing a gimmick called Braun the Leprechaun.
I remember this.
But it has been dropped because, and I quote, Dave says, believe it or not, some group complained about WCW's gimmick being a negative portrayal of leprechauns. So they dropped the gimmick.
Oh my god.
What? What did Lucky did Gerald Mills complain to they were like, hey, people aren't going to buy Lucky Charms anymore. You're making our leprechaun look like an asshole.
Oh, good lord.
I don't even know what to do with that.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that was stupid. Here's a weird story out of Mexico here. Sort of Mexico, it deals with WCW, and you'll see why. And that's the only reason I have it on here. It's expected that all of AAA's wrestlers that work for WCW will be leaving AAA this week to go wrestle for Promo Azteca in Mexico after a split between AAA president Antonio Peña and Conan. Aside from Conan, the wrestlers expected to jump ship are Super Calo, Rey Mysterio Jr., Piroff Jr., Super Crazy, Psicosis, Juventud Guerrera, and several others. There have been a lot of disagreements, mostly over money, go figure, and that finally boiled over. One notable exception is La Parca, who will probably stay with AAA because they own his gimmick, and he wouldn't be as successful without it. Spoiler, he would eventually leave AAA. They would keep his gimmick, so he would change his name to LA Park and stop wearing his black and white gear and kind of change up the colors a little bit.
And he become the chairman of WCW. Hell of a promotion.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember exactly I think this was the year, come to think of it, that he left AAA, and there was a big battle of it, and then they got La Parca Jr. went straight to the original La Parca Jr., by the way, went from becoming La Parca Jr. to just becoming La Parca, and they were like, "Oh, this is the same guy." It's like, no, it's not. He, by the way, is the one who passed away, not the one in WCW.
Yeah, I keep getting that confused. Not that I'm celebrating. Oh God, it wasn't him, thankfully. But
yeah,
I was like, I didn't realize there's multiple.
Yeah, Mexico is. I'm not being racist here by saying this at all. Don't anybody misconstrue it. But Mexico is a weird place when it comes to legal stuff. I mean, it was kind of like
I've heard multiple people say that.
Yeah,
not just on TV, but friends too.
Yeah,
who are from it.
Well, for sure. That's why AAA gets away with using licensed music sometimes because. And I asked my now passed away buddy Santiago about that, and he said, "Well, Mexico has different trademark laws. So not only do you trademark your song, you have to specifically trademark it in Mexico too, which is a big hassle apparently because their court system is just all kinds of strange." So he said a lot of people just give up and they're like, "Whatever, it's not trademarked in Mexico." So
Okay.
that's why La Parka, up until the day he died, he came out to Thriller by Michael Jackson, and nobody said a word because the song is not trademarked in Mexico. But yeah, so Antonio Pena and La Parka, the original La Parka, now LA Park, had a big dispute for years over this. It was a big deal. That is why of the name change. I had to have all this explained to me at one point because I was like, why is he no longer La Parka, and why is his mask different? I don't know if you've noticed, like through the years, his mask changed up a little bit.
I did, but it didn't look like it was. It just looked like little additions and stuff, like he was spicing it up. Yeah,
he changed it specifically because of this. He didn't want to, but he had to. Here's one it's sad, but the guy is pushing 60 at this point, so it's kind of, Wahoo McDaniel officially announced his retirement due to a serious heart condition around this time. And he was pushed, like I said, he was 59 when he retired, so it wasn't necessarily, it's sad because of his heart condition. He lived until the age of 63 in 2002, which is not very old, if you ask me.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not seeing a cause of death. I don't know if he died from his heart condition or whatnot, but I guarantee he prolonged his life by getting out of the ring when he did in 96. But he gave himself, 6 more years of life, I'm sure. But Wahoo is notoriously I think he's Ric Flair's favorite wrestler of all time. He said he was one of his favorite opponents of all time. Hard-hitting MFer. It just definitely, if anybody gets a chance to go watch some of his old matches, it's good stuff. Like, he beat the crap out of people. Speaking of somebody else who beats the crap out of people, Kenta Kobashi suffered a broken eardrum, but is still working every single night because he's an effing man.
Such a effing man.
Yeah, he's nuts, man. I mean, he's not wrestling today, but honestly, that kind of shocks me that he didn't, go the way of Mitsuharu Misawa. And it's like, I'm wrestling until I die in that ring. I don't know why I gave him a southern accent, but there you are.
I don't know why either, but okay.
Are you ready for this, Greg? I'm gonna.
Whenever you say that, I probably am not. And sorry, something horrible.
Well, I'm going to put in a new sounder this week for this one because this is going to be a recurring thing I'm going to do in our news if there's something juicy enough, and I'm going to do a voiceover with it here. This week in ECW. Good,
that was actually really good.
Thank you. Here we go.
Really good. Hold on, before we go on, I gotta say it's really good in the Bruce Pritchard way of mocking him is what I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean it doesn't sound exactly like Paulie.
No, but it sounds exactly like Bruce, so good enough.
Yeah.
That's what I was hearing when you said that. So
I got 2 stories out of ECW for you here that you're just gonna love because you love crapping on this company. Fans started throwing chairs at wrestlers during a recent ECW show, which led to Tommy Dreamer, Bubba Ray Dudley, Sandman, Taz, and others jumping into the crowd to fight the fans. It was only a small group of fans doing it, but the chaos turned into a pretty big scene before the fans were taken out of the building.
You don't say.
I'm going to 100.
It broke out there. I can't believe that.
I know. I'm going to 1000% blame this all on ECW because they've frequently encouraged people to throw crap into the ring and bring their weapons.
Chris Jericho was there, this year or the year before, at least within this region of time. Yeah, he flat out has said multiple times it was the quote most interactive wrestling company ever.
Which is good and bad.
That sounds like interaction to me. So,
Yeah, that's that's the bad kind of interaction there. Like when Jim Cornette would talk about when the Gangstas were in Smoky Mountain, he was like, they got a ton of heat, but sometimes it was the bad kind of heat. Like, yeah.
No, so we're not talking like MJF or Baron Corbin heat, right?
Yeah, that's this is. I like how you picked Baron Corbin, by the way. But
I love the guy, but people seem to hate him. But
I do want his new figure because all I have is a basic of him, and he's got the long hair. So I want an somewhat updated one. That's neither here nor there. The second story out of ECW is equally bad. Devon Storm in ECW was trash talking a fan and the fan hit him with a cane, splitting Storm's brow wide open, forcing him to be hospitalized.
Look, I'm not trying to be funny, but if it was a crowbar, it would all make sense.
Oh my gosh. Well, he missed.
They would have all fell in line right there. I would got it. Okay, now I get it.
Yep. But he missed the show the next night because of it. Also, Taz got into it with a fan and ended up shoving the fan to the ground. But then he got on the mic and he said he at least respected that fan because he wasn't a pussy like Sabu.
You gotta respect that. He brings it back to the story. I like that. That's good.
Yeah, I like that. And the fan wasn't stupid enough to go after Taz. So that's it. I don't know.
I forget who, but someone said he was just like a tough guy on TV. He was actually like a pushover.
A punk, yeah.
Was he CM Punk?
It wasn't Punk. I can't remember who it was because I think Bubba Ray. I don't know. I want to say it was Bubba Ray. Somebody just went up and open hands, smacked him across the face and called him out. Taz said the reason he was like, I didn't back down. I didn't want to start a brawl in the locker room and be unprofessional or whatever, which I get, but at the same time, it's like, kind of punked you out, dude. So, I don't know. At least front face lock him or something. Supposedly, he knew some kind of jiu-jitsu, so throw him. All right, well, we're out of ECW, but I got something else. I got something else before we get into the WWF news, because I want to close out with that. I'm going to get my newsman voice for this intro. This week in Stupid Things, Uncle Dave says. Dave takes a random shot. I can't wait
for this.
Dave takes a random shot at Sid, saying, quote, Sid has gotten so bad, it's almost amazing. He's always been bad, but compared to what he is now, he used to be Flair in his prime.
Okay. I love Sid. And I was a fan. But no.
Yeah. Well, he said, he used to be. Well, he said, he's saying, comparedly. He's like, well, he's so bad now, he, as bad he was before, he was, a million times better. I don't know. I watched him versus Vader. I'm not going to get into it yet. I'm going to give my thoughts later, but we'll just say it wasn't a 5-star classic. But, I didn't think it was and it was Vader. I don't know. It was stupid things that Uncle Dave says. So that's that segment for the week. I don't know where else to go from there.
Well, where else can you go?
Yeah.
He just said Sid was as good as Flair.
No, he was comparing, he said as good as, as bad as he was before, that was basically he was Flair back then compared to how bad he is now. So he wasn't exactly, you get it. Anyway. Speaking of...
I don't want to get it, but yeah.
Speaking of oversized guys who were really bad, getting into the WWF news here, bodybuilder Akam Albright, soon to be known as Brockus, who WWF...
Oh, yeah!
who WWF recently signed, has been training for the last several weeks. Reportedly, he hates taking bumps, so he brought a mattress into the ring for him to learn on.
That's gonna get him far, huh?
Yeah. What was it I said that Taz called Sabu earlier? It started with a P.
Say Punk.
Yeah. We'll go with Punk. We'll
keep it PG.
Yeah, I don't want to have to bleep myself twice. So yeah,
I bleep myself twice. Anyways,
good lord. Anyway,
I was playing video games and I said a swear word and I bleeped myself. Yeah, God, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Randy Orton should have bleeped himself while playing video games. But regardless, Farouk has a hamstring injury and will miss the pay-per-view. That will explain something that goes on later on in the show that we will get to. Look, I'm not exactly, I don't know. Do we eventually get Ahmed and Farouk?
It will happen for the first time, at least on pay-per-view at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, yay. Dang, how bad is that hamstring injury?
And it's a barn burner, too. Also, I think, I'm pretty sure this hamstring injury is the last we see of Farouk Assad. Thank God.
Oh, did he still have the last name Assad at this point?
I think so, but at the Survivor Series, he's at Survivor Series. He's in the match. I don't think it goes long. But I think at the Survivor Series, he comes out as the Nation of Domination, so.
Nice.
Because if you watch the show, you'll see him in the stupid gladiator getup.
Wow. Yeah, that's spoiler for something coming up later in the show that we will see. You and I have to talk more about that when we get in the show. But this is the big story coming out of the WWF at this time. It will lead to something huge a year from now. Bret Hart signed a 20-year contract with the WWF the night after Buried Alive, just before appearing on Raw the same night to announce this to the live crowd. It's believed the deal amounts to just under $3 million per year for the first 3 years, and then a lesser amount as a, quote, non-performer for the remaining 17 years, during which Hart will presumably retire and take a front office position. 2 weeks ago, we talked about how he came up with the Truth Commission idea, so something tells me he wouldn't have been in creative. But
hey, maybe Vince liked that. You don't know.
According to Bruce Pritchard, the only reason Vince went along with that idea was to placate Brett. And was like, well, I'll give him something. Maybe it'll make him happy.
Yes, he liked Kurgan because he was huge.
My God, he's vascular. That was another thing. I think, according to Bruce Pritchard, he didn't really care about Kurgan until he saw him dance, and he's like, God dang it, I can make him an oddity. He'll dance.
High earthquake.
Yeah, put him in a mask and a Cartman t-shirt. But yeah, so this contract for anybody obviously didn't stick because we're in 96. He would go to to WCW in 97 after the Montreal Screwjob. The 20-year contract was reneged upon by Vince the next year because WCW was beating that ass, and Vince was like, look, I need to cut some costs. We can't afford to pay you what I promised. Can we renegotiate? And you can go talk to WCW if you want. So obviously he did. And he went to WCW. All this is covered in Wrestling with Shadows, if I believe. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if anybody has not seen the Wrestling with Shadows documentary, it's actually pretty good. I think some of it's a little shady because Brett wore a wire at times when people did not know he was wearing a wire. So, yeah, I mean, can't say I support all of that, but, all in all, it's it's a good documentary, very revealing about certain things. So either way, go check that out if you want to know more about it. Next thing here, Mr. Perfect is still collecting on his Lloyd's of London insurance policy and may not ever want to return. Vince McMahon is reportedly willing to buy him out, however, of the policy to get him back in the ring. And we'll see teases of that on the show that we're about to cover. Did he ever, until he went to WCW the next year, did he ever wrestle in WWF again?
No, and we'll actually get to that within this review.
Okay.
Because he's supposed to wrestle the next night after this event.
Okay. All right, last story. WWF was negotiating with Ken Shamrock, but his demands were too high, so negotiations went nowhere.
Don't worry, they will.
Yeah. Doesn't he pop up in 97?
He pops up in February 97, so...
Yeah.
I'm going to say they probably got the deal done, and I'm assuming Uncle Dave was reporting this, and he just got it wrong. Shocker. Because we're in October. He pops up in December. That's like 3 months later. What changed in 3 months?
You take all that back, Greg. You take it back. He said that UFC might be fixed and is not real fights. So you take all that back.
That one still got me to the point where I couldn't even reply.
Yeah. We talked about that in a couple shows going.
It was the Herb Abrams one.
Okay, yeah, the UWF Blackjack Brawl 1994. If you want to hear about that, all the dirt sheet guys were claiming, Wade Keller actually analyzed video. Well, if you watch this video, you can see that, the punches are coming close enough to where it looks okay, but they're clearly missing. And
Wade Keller, the expert on fighting.
Well, you say that jokingly, but he actually, he does, oddly enough, he does fight training. Obviously not professionally, but, so I don't know. I believe him more than Uncle Dave, who I assume just has
my computer
gym
all the
muscles.
time. Does that make me an IT executive?
I work in IT, and I still go to you sometimes for IT questions, so maybe?
The basic stuff, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, anyway,
Anyway, sorry.
That is the news, so let's wrap this segment up. We're going to take our one more small break to pay our bills here, and when we come back, we're going to get into In Your House, Buried Alive.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @mainevent_marks and Facebook at facebook.com/maineventmarkspod.
Now, back to our program.
All right, ready to get into the event at hand, Greg?
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's WWF In Your House 11, Buried Alive. This was 1996, 2 months till the end of the year. And they've already had 11 of these when they started it in the beginning of 95. Think about that.
That makes sense. They had the 4 big ones, and then...
Yeah, this is... I was like, dang, you had 11 of these already? All right. But either way, this took place October 20th, 1996, from the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, Indiana. I have some interesting factoids about that, because you always got your cool facts about the matches. Well, I've got some cool facts about the arena here to start off that I think the listeners will like. But the attendance for the show was 9,649. For reference, basketball, you can squeeze 16,500 fans.
Okay, I know the cases aren't that great, but 1,600?
Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah, no, but basketball, you can get over 16,500. For ice hockey, you can get just under 16,000. So this place was like a little over half full, something like that. So, yikes. But the taglines for the event, there were two. The first one was Dead Man's Paradise, and the other one was Dead or Alive. You want to know some...
Just call it Buried Alive.
I don't know. You need taglines, Greg. Gosh.
Clash of the Champions Gold Rush.
Yeah. But some fun facts about the Market Square Arena. This first one is the only one that's like wrestling related. At this arena, Andre the Giant won the WWF Heavyweight Championship, ending Hulk Hogan's first reign. This was televised live on NBC's The Main Event 1 on February 5th, 1988. I did not know that took place in this. So Andre the Giant beat Hulk Hogan on national TV for the belt, and the Undertaker and Mankind attempted to bury each other alive in the same arena. Fact number 2 about this arena. Wayne Gretzky first skated out on the ice to start his pro hockey career here. That's a pretty big one. Also, I couldn't believe how much history was at this arena. Michael Jordan made his comeback from retirement at Market Square Arena on March 19th, 1995. The Pacers defeated the Bulls in overtime in what was the most watched NBA game on television in 20 years. That's nuts. I didn't know he went into retirement before 95.
Yeah, you didn't watch The Last Dance?
No, I didn't.
Good Lord.
I'm not a basketball guy.
You're not a guy, but anyways.
No, I'm not big into sports, and I try to be every now and then, but...
It's Michael Jordan, though. It's not... He's like an American icon.
Well, you gotta remember, when he was big, like a big deal, I was a small child, and the biggest thing I remember him for... The biggest thing I remember him from is Space Jam. The final thing here, I don't know what the exact number is here. It wasn't given, but the person to hold the attendance record for Market Square Arena is famous evangelist Billy Graham. Did you know superstar Billy Graham actually took his name from the evangelist? I didn't know that. I thought it was just I didn't think the two were related.
I didn't either, actually.
Jim Ross starts the show off by complaining for 5 minutes that he doesn't have a microphone. And then finally he gets a microphone and the mic doesn't work. They keep this up throughout the first match, by the way.
I want to point out there's a context to this. He's because they made it public that Vince McMahon fired him a couple times, and they were mad because he quote brought back Razor and Diesel.
Yeah,
that's the whole premise of this whole thing.
Yeah, well, and go back in the archives we talked about. It might have been our UWF show again where he got fired, and I think that was the one he talked about on his podcast where Vince said, "I have plans for the future, and you're not in them." And he was like, "So I'm fired?" And he was like, "Yep, go home." Hunter Hearst Helmsley comes to the ring with a random blonde woman. I guess this is a thing where he keeps bringing different women to the ring because Mr. Perfect keeps taking them.
Yeah, and that's how Sable came into the WWE.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Kelly does an interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin backstage, and Kelly says that Savio Vega is injured, so he's being replaced by Helmsley. Austin says that Vega is faking it, and when he's back, Austin will injure him for real. And then he says that anyone with an issue with his language can kiss his ass.
Yes. One of my first notes is they're going to talk about this heavily throughout the match. Oh, excuse his language. He had just started using his colorful language.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. And Dave had to throw a jab in there where he's like, well, I guess Austin's new gimmick is how many times can I say the word ass within a 5-minute segment?
Something tells me it's going to work out for the positive, so...
No, Uncle Dave doesn't like it.
Well then!
But this first match, Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, it went for 15.5 minutes. This, fun fact of this match, to start off, not to take your gimmick, but this was the debut of Stone Cold's Hell Frozen Over thing.
Yep.
I don't know if that was your fun fact of the match here, but...
No, everyone knows that.
Oh, well, I didn't, because I wasn't watching wrestling at the time, so... But throughout the match...
Carry your ass again. Anyway, sorry.
Throughout the match, Ross's microphone keeps messing up. King actually calls McMahon out for his 1, 2, he got him now!
It's like, do you get annoyed when he does that too?
Yeah. And McMahon was like, I don't know. I'm just going to start off by saying, like, McMahon was never like an amazing commentator. I thought his commentary absolutely sucked on the show. Was it just me?
No, it wasn't just you.
Okay, yeah, I was like, what is wrong with you tonight, dude? He was like trying to be like a smart ass, and he wasn't calling stuff, and just like.
That's funny.
And I like how.
Pal. Trying to keep it PG, it's funny crap, pal.
Well, and Jim Ross kept crapping on him throughout the whole night. He was like, that's called a hip toss right there, Vince.
And if you didn't know that.
Yeah. He's like, well, what's that called right there? Like, well, it's not called a maneuver. That's for sure.
Is this the match where he, I didn't make a note about this because I just mentally remembered. Is this the match where he bags on Connecticut and says it's an overpriced hellhole and he can't wait to get back to Oklahoma?
Yeah, because he said something to Vince about, because he said something about, well, Hunter Hearst Helmsley's from Connecticut.
Yeah.
That's where all the rich snobs and stuck-ups live, and I'm paraphrasing. And he's like,
no, I don't think you are.
Yeah. Well, he's like, don't you live in Connecticut, Vince? He's like, or no, he was like, where do you live, Vince? He's like, well, I live in Connecticut. He's like, I rest my case. and then he's like, well, where do you live, Jim? And he's like, well, right now I live in that overpriced hellhole, but I can't wait to get back to good old Oklahoma where I'm from. I mean, from everything I've heard, he's not wrong. It seems like everybody except for the McMahon family that has been forced to move to Connecticut absolutely has hated it. At least that's the way it seems from like anybody who's done like shoot interviews or podcasts or anything like that. They're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't stand Connecticut. I don't know if anybody listening is from Connecticut and can tell me why. I mean, obviously besides the prices.
You think those rich jerks listening to us?
Probably not. I don't know. Mr. Perfect comes out in a blue suit to hit on Helmsley's valet. Helmsley gets in his face, and then Austin gets in his face. Perfect starts to walk away, and then Austin throws a drink in the face of Mr. Perfect, and then Perfect leaves with the girl. Helmsley goes after Perfect, but Austin goes after Helmsley. Eventually, they get back in the ring, and Austin hits a stunner for the win. Uncle Dave says, quote, Austin seems to be getting over as a babyface as the swearing, flipping off character. I don't know. I guess this match got really positive reviews, and I'm not saying it sucked, but I wasn't super into it. Uncle Dave gave it 3 1/4 star. I gave it 2.5 stars. What say you? I
gave it 2. It was fun. But...
I mean, I don't think it sucked. I was just like, I didn't see anything special about the match.
Yeah. So. A few of my notes here. I said, to this day, I still don't know why they had 2 heels facing each other.
Yeah.
That baffled me. Yeah, so they made references to Austin's language. Like I said, the entire match was almost ignored because of JR's mic issues and them constantly talking about Brett and Mr. Perfect returning the next night.
Yeah, that took me out of it.
Yeah.
Like that was another reason why I gave this 2.5 stars, because I couldn't really concentrate on the freaking match. How many
times are you going to tell us about tomorrow? I mean, I get it. You got the money. People bought this pay-per-view already, so whatever. But then my last thing too, which is kind of like the fact that ties in with it, like the announcers are saying these 2 are future champs. I'm like, well, that was the understatement of the century.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh, well, what do I say? Like, what fact do I give you about these 2? Like that they're both going to be like major players. So I mean, I just decided not to even do one for this because, yeah.
Austin won. This was the year Austin won King of the Ring, correct?
Yeah. Okay. Just won it, like what was this? This is October and June, so 4 months earlier. 4 months.
And then Helmsley would win it the next year.
Yeah.
So there you go. A video is shown of how Billy Gunn stole Sunny away from the Godwins. She was with the Godwins, right?
She was with the Body Donnas and then the Godwins and then yes.
Okay,
so she managed 3 straight tag team champions.
Nice. But yeah, she was with the Godwins. Billy stole her away to be the manager of the Smoking Guns. He's been getting distracted by Sunny during the matches, causing the Guns to lose the tag team titles to the British Bulldog and Owen Hart. Sunny then throws a tantrum in the ring and fires the Smoking Guns as her clients. Now we get Doc Hendricks backstage interviewing the Smoking Guns, and Billy says that he's going to win the gold back for Sunny. By the way, this was during the, I didn't think about it until just now. Doc Hendricks had dropped the whole DJ routine.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when he did that, but if you watch him back in 95, he still had that, hi, I'm Doc Hendricks. You're listening to, that kind of pukey DJ, old school DJ voice.
Pukey?
But that's what they always described it as in radio. Like, whenever I did, training for DJing or something like that, they were like, the old puke, like, sounds like you're puking up your words as a DJ. Don't ever do that. Nobody likes that.
Wow.
But here we go. It's the British Bulldog and Owen Hart defending the WWF Tag Team Championships against Smoking Guns, Billy and Bart. The Bulldog and Hart have Clarence Mason in their corner, which was an odd...
why not?
Yeah, because they were trying to say, well, he stole him away from Jim Cornette. I'm like, huh? Like, the only thing I could assume was Cornette wanted to spend more time working on Smoky Mountain because it was going into the toilet. The only thing I can guess. Yeah. Well, when the smoking... this match went for 9 minutes, 17 seconds, by the way. When the Smoking Guns...
9 minutes too long.
When the Smoking Guns attempted the Sidewinder, Bulldog pulled Bart's pants back, and Billy just lands on the mat. Owen then nails the spinning heel kick on Billy for the pin. Apparently that was his finisher during this time. I didn't watch... Like I said, I didn't watch a lot of 96, so I didn't know that was his finisher.
it was one of them.
Yeah. Uncle Dave gave this 2 stars even. I gave it 2.5. What say you?
I gave it 1. This match sucked. Also, the ending was baffling. Go back to that Bulldog pulling him part. He was pulling Billy, right? No, Bart.
Bart. Yeah.
So he pulls him to like avoid the Sidewinder, which is clever. He was hiding behind him. Okay. I like the setup, but then he doesn't pull him enough and the move still connects.
Kind of. Well,
Go back and watch it. It hits him. I'm like, what was the point of this whole thing?
I think Billy...
It was terrible.
Yeah, Billy kind of hit him, but my thing was, I was like, well, Bart... Because Owen gets up like nothing happened. Whereas, I mean, he pulled Bart back, and Bart still kind of drops him with a side slam. Or a sidewalk slam.
Yeah, so I'm like... But, like, the whole thing about him coming off of, like, the Sidewinder, he still hits him. The fact that he even remotely hits him, to me, negates the entire thing.
Yeah.
This is so stupid. I can't believe this just happened.
Yeah, well, my thing was, I was like, okay, I realized, the finisher kind of didn't connect, but at the same time, Bart still, like I said, Bart still hit a sidewalk slam on him, and Owen just gets up and no-sells it. Like, well, he fell, he didn't slam me. Like, who cares? Well, I'm
not gonna say it took me out of it, but it's just like, wow, this is like, just ugly as hell.
I'm going to pull a you, Greg. You're thinking too much about it, and you're putting realism into it.
Okay, yes, I get that, but also when it's like blatant and the camera's right on it.
Damn it, Kevin Dunn.
I mean, like, we saw it hit. That's my thing. They didn't camera cut away or something and give the illusion of what's that word? Plausible deniability. Nope, we saw it.
This was another match, by the way, where Ross was still having mic problems.
That was another one of my notes that
sucked.
That took me out of it, too.
Yeah.
I mean, and the match seemed to be all about Billy being infatuated with Sonny.
Yep.
That was like, it's like, okay.
When did the Guns officially break up and Billy...
So that was going to be my fact for this match. This is the last ever pay-per-view match, and maybe even the last match ever for the Smoking Guns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well...
Definitely the last pay-per-view.
And my thing that I think is funny about this is he's infatuated with Sonny. He wants to get back with Sonny, but he goes with the Honky Tonk Man instead, which,
I mean, ask me, he traded up.
Yeah, same. Sonny, Honky Tonk Man, whatever. They're interchangeable.
Fun fact, too, his first pay-per-view match, I believe, would be against Jesse James. And that's kind of funny to think about, but yeah.
The real Double J.
Yes. Damn right.
Well, I mentioned the thing about the mic problems for Jim Ross because he gets into the ring and grabs a microphone finally, saying that McMahon is having, quote, his butt kissers mess with his headset. Ross then says he's bringing Bret Hart back to Raw tomorrow night to be uncensored. Ross then says that he's done and he leaves for the rest of the night. Sort of. We'll see him once more, but we'll get into that.
I got to point out, too, on this, I laughed so hard when he says Bret's coming back tomorrow and he's got a shovel to bury people with.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and it's ironic.
This is an effing shoot, bro.
Yeah, well, and the thing was, he's supposed to be the heel announcer here. He's supposed to be the a-hole, and oh my gosh, he's crapping on the company and everything else, and he's being an old curmudgeon and whatever. But this got him over. Like, people cheered him, and when he's like putting down Vince, the people are like booing Vince, not him. It's like it completely backfired on them.
When I was watching this when I was a kid, like, obviously, I'm just watching as a kid, and I'm like, why is he so damn angry? I think as a kid, I probably liked Vince on commentary. I mean, I didn't realize how bad it was.
I did too, yeah.
I'm like, why is he so mad at him? You know? Then it starts coming around me. He's the owner. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's his boss. But I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, and even at this time, they didn't fully like come right out and was like, well, he's the boss, guys, you know.
Well, Jim Ross gives that promo in the middle of the ring. He says, you know, the owner of this company. But he kind of says it like passively, not like pointing at Vince.
Yeah.
You know, so it could be like anybody. He's like, you know, then he's like sitting out here stroking his ego. But again, he doesn't really say Vince.
Well,
I feel like the first time they acknowledge him on screen as the owner was the night Austin stunned him. He goes, how do you keep your job now? That's the owner of the company. Like, they flat out said it. So.
Right. Well, I like the thing on that. I'm getting to why I liked it, but the thing on the Dark Side of the Ring for Jimmy Snuka, where he said something about, you know, when he was being interrogated by police, and he said, they're like, well, who's your boss? And he's like, Vince McMahon. They're like, the announcer?
Yeah. Okay, honestly, I was wondering how we were going to get a Dark Side of the Ring reference into this show, and you did it.
And then boom, there it is. But all right, next up in the show, we get Farouk being interviewed by Kevin Kelly, and then we get Ahmed Johnson talking with Kelly in 2 different interviews. By the way, Vince McMahon talks over both freaking interviews. Why?
Yeah.
Did we already see the interviews? I think they were on the free-for-all, but...
Well, the Mark Merrill one was live because you could see him walking out. And not to get ahead, but you know the Sid one's live, and there's a reason for that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, God.
We're live, pal.
Well, Farouk is being interviewed by Kevin Kelly. I couldn't hear hardly anything he said except for something about telling Ahmed.
That was on the show. That's right.
Yeah. And he's like, well, he said something to Ahmed or about Ahmed where he's like, well, we grew up on the same streets or something like that. It's like, I don't think you did. You're from Florida, but I mean, you know, tomato, whatever.
And Ahmed's from Mississippi, right?
I believe so, yeah. But yeah. Well, either way, we hear what most of Ahmed Johnson's promo, and he said he blames Farouk for costing him the Intercontinental title, and he's going to pay him back. We then go to a clip of Johnson standing over a hurt Farouk holding a, I was going to say 2x4, but it's like a 2x6. Like, it's freaking-gantic.
Yeah. It's
like, well, I mean, you make the comparisons between him and Jim Duggan, why his would be bigger. No?
Wow. Anyway. Moving away from that, did you happen to notice how Vince was quick to defend Ahmed? Well, we're told he wasn't necessarily the aggressor.
Even though he was holding a weapon.
He had the smoking gun in his hand.
Yeah. Like, what the hell?
Oh, man. He wasn't the aggressor. He just beat the hell out of this guy with a 2x6.
Yeah. Farouk was unarmed. Well, you know what stops a bad unarmed man is a good guy with a 2x6.
Hell yeah. Hey, we don't know, by the way. Farouk Asad was a gladiator, man. He could have had like a lance or something, man. You never know.
Maybe.
Did you see it? No, but doesn't rule out him having it.
Conceal carry.
Mm-hmm. Because
Jim Ross.
Because you can easily conceal one of those.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like Wonder Woman. Jim Ross does come out one more time with Mr. Perfect, and it looks like he's giving him his blessing. He's pointing. He's like, "Go at it," and then he goes to the back.
I like how Perfect is still soaked, by the way, or you can tell.
Yeah, and he comes out like
clean up or nothing.
Yeah, and he comes out with his tie around, like he untied his tie, and it's just like hanging off his neck. Like, just take it off. Put it wherever the hell your jacket is.
Dude, he can still pull that look off because he's perfect.
Yeah, and he took the ponytail out of his hair, and he's just letting it go. He's going Dolph Ziggler style. But he comes on, he puts on Jim Ross's headset finally. And here is where we get the interview with Wildman, Mark Nero, and Sable.
Real quick, the headset works now. I don't know why my voice cracked. It works all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm
going through puberty on our show, sorry. But like all
surprise.
Of a sudden, it's like all of a sudden it works though, and it kind of like gives away that there are no problems. There really were messing with them.
Yeah, right. So it makes Vince look like an a**hole.
And then Perfect says, I don't care if it works or not. I'm like, well, you kind of should, because if it doesn't work, we're not going to hear you. So that wole comment made no sense.
But again,
he's perfect, so he can say whatever the hell he wants. But
he followed it up with, well, if it doesn't work, I'll just rip off your headset. And King said something about it. He's like, well, he'll give it to you.
No, Vince is like, oh, I'll just give it to you.
Yeah.
Way to back down on that one.
Yeah, right. What was that P word again I used for Sabu?
Yeah, right.
But anyway. This was another, he was like, he said something about, oh, this is a $7,000 suit or whatever. And then freaking Vince was like, oh, I thought you wore that suit before. It's like, quit burying him.
The King's like, oh, you got that? It's like, I saw the same suit at Kmart. And,
oh, yeah.
And then Mr. Rourke said, well, yeah, but it wasn't on the blue light special, so you didn't get it.
Yeah, I like their exchange because it's like, God.
Looking back great. At that moment, I think they missed a huge opportunity to put those two together.
Oh, right?
Yep.
But anyway.
That whole exchange had me rolling, dude.
No,
it was like so quick. Just like, God, it was so great. It got over real quick, at least with me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Those two were great. Those two were great on the mic, and they probably would have done better than Piper and King actually did. That was everybody kind of agreed that, they were hoping Piper and King were going to have a great match, and, well, it didn't exactly go that way. So.
We're only a couple months removed from that horrible thing, too. Was it a couple months or was it 95?
It had to have been 96.
I think it was 90.
Yeah.
Lost anyways.
Either way, we get the Wild Man Mark Mero and Sable backstage for an interview, and the announcers are actually doing the interview, like through the camera, whatever. And King just bogarts the whole thing, and he asks Mero if he's got cold feet, and Mero gives a couple of generic wrestler answers.
Yeah,
nothing special. Yeah, this was like the most bland interview I've ever heard, and I'm just like, dang, Mark.
And you're just stealing my words for the match now. But anyways.
Good Lord. Well, this match was Wildman Mark Mero with Sable. He's defending his championship, his Intercontinental Championship, against Goldust with Marlena. This went for just over 11 and a half minutes. Halfway through the match, Goldust grabs a microphone. He tells the crowd to shut the hell up or he's going to come out there and shove his tongue down all their throats.
Yeah, my first note on here was, I believe Goldust just threatened semi-rape on the crowd.
Well, he at least threatened sexual assault. That is true.
Yeah, okay, I probably shouldn't use the... Yeah, but yeah. He just... Yeah, I was like, why?
He's androgynous, pal.
And shove my tongue down your throat.
Yeah, there are children in that crowd. But later on, Hunter Hearst Helmsley comes down to confront Mr. Perfect, but Perfect punches Goldust, and then he chases Helmsley away, then goes back to the announce table. Mero ends up winning with the Wild Thing, which was his Shooting Star Press. I didn't realize, I was today years old when I realized this. His version of the Shooting Star Press looks exactly like the kind that Brock Lesnar did in OVW.
Yeah.
Irony?
Almost borderline Evan Bourne, too, because he, holds his thighs, I believe.
Yeah, well,
but Evan Bourne's a smaller, but he's a smaller guy, though, and it looks cooler when he does it, so.
Yeah, well, Bourne, the way he does it, he, leans back, kind of almost grabs his ankles.
Yeah.
Whereas Brock and, Mero kind of tuck their knees in and hold back their thighs or whatever. Yeah, so it was almost like that. But I'm like, it's a little weird to think about in 2020.
Also, for WWE at this time, WWF, that was a big thing. You think about it, a lot of people did that. When he whipped that out at that SummerSlam gig, at SummerSlam a couple months prior, and then lost after using it, by the way, which I thought was funny. Debuts in new moves. But I think it was the Goldust too. It was the same.
It was.
And then it was when he pulled that out though, it's like, wow, that's a huge thing for WWE because you could see that every Monday night on Nitro from guys not WWE. So
right.
That tells me they were paying attention to WCW. So.
Well, Mero was still doing the same stuff he was doing as Johnny B. Bad. He still did the I think it was called the Tutti Frutti, where he does the front flip over the top rope.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's not still calling it that, but that's what it was. Is Johnny B. Bad. But Mero actually blew out his knee during this match. So, yeah.
Thus giving away what's going to happen tomorrow night. So, real quick. So, going back to the Perfect thing we were talking about at the beginning of the show. He was supposed to wrestle against Hunter Hearst Helmsley, as you know, because they built the hell out of that the whole show. Kind of took away from everything. And then he ends up, quote, getting attacked by Helmsley and then helps Helmsley win the IC title the next night. Turns heel. He's with him for 2 weeks, never wrestles, and is gone.
Good Lord.
And he went in service in WCW until, July next year?
What is it with Helmsley or Triple H, whatever you want to call him? What is it with him and Minnesota guys? Because he's best friends with Sean Waltman. He was with Mr. Perfect for a heartbeat, and then he teams up with Rick Rude for the genesis of DX.
I don't know, maybe it's just... I mean, outside of, Canada, they produce some of the best wrestlers, so...
Yeah, it is true.
Of course, America has Kurt Angle, the greatest ever, so, we still win. And Anyways, I digress.
Wow.
Am I wrong?
No, but we also have Ric Flair. Uncle Dave gave this 2 3/4 stars. I gave it 3 stars. I had fun with this match, other than Mr. Perfect and Helmsley kind of taking away from it, and the weird mid-match promo from Goldust where he threatened sexual assault. Other than that, I thought the match itself was good. Obviously, Sable and Marlena being at ringside did not hurt matters any for, the visuals. And people are, some people may give us crap about this, but you and I talked about it. We like Mark Marrow. Up until
I thought he was very underutilized. I
liked him up until he became Marvelous Mark Marrow. I thought, that was more him as far as like the boxer or whatever, but I don't know. I liked his gimmicky stuff. I thought he did good at it.
I loved Johnny B. Bad when I was a kid, man. I ate that up.
I feel like I should hate it, but I don't. Like, I thought it was cool. I don't know, it gets crapped on a lot, but I liked it. I don't know. And you said you liked the Wild Man gimmick. I wasn't super hot for it.
I think I only liked it because of who he was, and I loved Johnny B. Bad, and it just carried over.
It's kind of funny that he came out to what would eventually, like, Sable would just keep this theme, and then he would switch it up to I thought he had an amazing theme as Marvelous Mark Marrow. I just thought that his theme just, like, kicked when he was Marvelous. But either way.
I thought this was fun, though. I gave it 2 stars, though. I just thought it was lacking something.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect. I will say that. Although perfect was at ringside.
A couple of fun facts. Number 1, I said it's kind of funny how both guys were in WCW 1 year prior to this.
Uh-huh.
And then...
yeah.
And then another one, I said in 1 year's time, they would both be drastically different. He would be Marvelous.
Oh, my gosh.
Artist formerly known as Goldust. So.
Oh, yeah.
The big a year makes. And also, this is the last pay-per-view appearance for Mr. Perfect until Royal Rumble 2002.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of...
Did you ever notice that nobody could ever decide on a name for Goldust finishers throughout his entire career?
I always thought it was called the curtain call.
Yeah, well, that's what me too. But here they called it the final curtain. Same move. And then that one move he does, I think he still does it in AEW. I don't know. That one where he picks him up like he's going to do a suplex and then spins him around and slams him.
He does. And then there was another curtain call that he did where he lifted him up, dropped him down, and almost gave him like a rude awakening. Right.
Yeah. So that was a different version of that one. And then, but that one I'm talking about, the suplex slam thing, he ended up calling it the Golden Globes at one point. And then it was called something else at one point too that I can't remember.
I remember one time, I don't know if King was joking. I don't know if King was joking, but one time he hit it and King called it Oscar. So.
Wow. Oh, yeah. I think he might have called it that at one point too. He just kept.
I didn't get that as a kid. Looking back, I'm like, oh, duh. But yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Oscar? Right. Who the hell's Oscar? The other guy Men on a Mission?
Right. Yeah, but we get a video that plays up next showing Sid and Vader arguing over who has the best powerbomb.
Okay, before we even start this, the first note I made, okay, and I noticed it right away. I said the feud was over the powerbomb. Why is this stupid? Because Vader's whole thing in WWE was about the Vader bomb. He debuts at the Rumble. The next night, he takes Gorilla Monsoon out with the Vader bomb. And then he breaks Yokozuna in his leg with the Vader bomb. And then he beats Shawn Michaels to earn his number 1 contendership with the Vader bomb. And everyone's talking about it. Now, all of a sudden, randomly, I do a power bomb.
Yeah.
Where the hell did this come from?
It's like, I know you did the power bomb in WCW, whatever. That was another thing. They just transferred that name, Vader bomb, because that's what he called his power bomb in WCW. The Vader bomb. So now, like, people today are like, what's the real Vader bomb? That went off the ropes or the power bomb?
Yeah, right. And just, it took me out of it because I'm like, wait, his whole thing in WWE, like the whole time he was there, it was built up over his devastating move, which I thought was great. You know? But like now all of a sudden, oh no, I do a powerbomb too. It's like,
right.
That's so stupid.
I might get some heat for this. And I'm not crapping on Vader. It sounded funny in the promo. The way the one line they put in there from him, made him sound like, he needed I'll just put it this way. Made him sound like he had, like special needs or something. I don't know. When he was like, he said something like, I do the best power bomb or something like that. Something to that effect. And I was like, what the hell, Vader?
Yeah, man.
He's like, you don't do the power bomb. I do the power bomb. Like, because nobody else in this company can do a power bomb except for you, right? Like, If it's like a special move, fine. But didn't these guys eventually team up as the masters of the powerbomb?
Oh, they did earlier.
Oh, okay. So...
Yeah, I mean, going off of that, yeah, okay, this makes sense. But, like, in the WWE part, though, it's like, you built up the whole Vader bomb thing, and now they're just taking away from it. And this is also a stupid concept for a match.
How dare you, Greg? They went on to reuse this between Sid and Kevin Nash in WCW.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, man, I can't wait for that awesome Goldberg versus Roman spear match.
Right, we need to. I do the best spear. Oh, I do the best spear.
Go Georgia Bulldogs.
No, go Florida. What is he, a Gator or Seminole?
Seminole's Ron Simmons. I'm going to say he's Gator.
Yeah,
there is but one Seminole in pro wrestling, so.
Good Lord. Somebody correct me. What the hell college did Roman go to? I can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, they talked to Shawn Michaels about who gives the best power bomb, and he said both of them knocked him out with their power bombs, so he can't give a straight answer. My
whole thing about that is like, well, I've taken Sid's power bomb. I've taken Vader's. Sid's knocked me loopy. Vader's knocked me out. So I'm going to say they're equal. Like, oh, you could have just said that, dude. We didn't need to hear the whole breakdown.
Yes, we did. They're analyzing the power bomb, Greg. Gosh, this is a great time. It's such good crap, pal.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, come on. Anyway, unfortunately, it doesn't get any better. That damn bell.
I think our entire conversation just then was probably more entertaining than this match.
Well, yeah, but we get Psycho Sid versus Vader. Vader's got Jim Cornette, who did the talking for him. See, Jim Cornette knew like little things I noticed now because of crap said on the internet. During promos, Jim Cornette knew how to stand. And by that, I mean, he was stood behind his massive, like, client. He didn't stand in front of him and shout into the camera while his client is barely visible behind him. That was one critique people had with Taz. They're like, why are you, like, right in the camera? Meanwhile, the guy you're supposed to be pumping up is, like, in the background.
Yeah, right.
So that's why he made that crack on Impact, where it's like, I guess I'll stand behind you and make the people on the internet happy or something like that. But anyway, this was of all things, this was for the number one contendership for the WWF title.
Yep.
So there you go. This went 8 minutes on the dot.
It went 7.5 minutes too long. They just came in and kicked him in the gut and powerbombed to one of them. Boom, it's over.
I thought it was going to end in a minute, and I'll get to why, but the crowd absolutely blows their crap for Sid. Did you notice that?
I did. And I think that the announcers had no choice but to acknowledge it. Did you catch that?
Yeah. They're like, wow, he's over here. I can't remember what they said, but it's something that, like, they're like, oh, the crowd loves
Sid.
Sid.
Lunatics, fans love him or something like that.
Yeah, as soon as you hear that, like, crowd just, like, blows. And I'm like, damn, dude. And he comes out, and I always loved this, where he would come out and he'd do what Rhino eventually ended up doing. He'd throw his fist out and be like, who's the man? And the crowd would blow more. Yep. And then he comes out fist bumping the fans. Which one? It was in Madison Square Garden. Was it WrestleMania where he came out and just like the crowd basically mauled him for fist bumps?
That's the event he's after this.
Survivor Series. Okay.
Yeah.
Not to give spoilers, but
like, anyway. Oh God! Now you give away Sid's gonna win.
No.
I feel like Shawn Michaels was definitely booed that night, and Sid was like almost like Hogan Montreal status.
Yeah,
they ripped the roof off that place for him.
Yeah, and as much as Uncle Dave sits there and craps on, well, Sid sucks. He can't have a match, whatever. Who cares when you're that freaking over? Who cares?
I don't think 40,000 people jam packed to Georgia don't watch Goldberg put on a clinic. So
yeah, they're not signing up for Kawashi.
Right.
But Vader gets a mild reaction, and his entrance just screams, I don't really care. Did you get that same feeling?
Kind of, but then I was like, well, they did just, blow their load for Sid.
Yeah.
I'm not to say they can't do it twice, but clearly they're going to put no effort into even booing this guy.
Yeah, well, Vader comes out, I'm not even talking about the mild reaction, but just like Vader kind of just like mildly walks to the ring, half-heartedly like does his pose, and then he's like, I'm gonna chill out. Like, it almost looked like he had the flu that night, and he just didn't really want to work. I don't know. He seemed like he was dragging ass this night. Well, what you said just a second ago about blowing their crap, I'll get to here, because Shawn Michaels came right after Vader to observe because he was going to watch the match and get on commentary, and the crowd loses their crap again. Like, yep. I felt like they blew just as big for him as they did for Sid.
And it's funny not to play WWE fanboy here, but I feel like nobody in WCW got those kind of reactions looking at least the shows back then at this time.
At this time, no.
I feel like Piper is about to get that reaction.
Yeah.
But like at this time, nobody did.
Maybe Ric Flair in the Carolinas. Maybe. That's I don't know. That's.
But again, that's also a regional thing too. They just love him because he's from there.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody. None of these guys are from Indiana, so.
Right. Yeah. Sid and Shawn got these reactions everywhere. But when Cornette tries to get into the ring, Sid pulls the ropes up and crotches him because he's like stepping through the ropes, and Sid pulls him up into his crotch. And Cornette had to pretend like he actually had nards there for a second. Like, come on, I had to get one dig in. But
cool. Mutual friend is not going to give me heat for this one. It's going to go to you.
Nope. This distracts the referee so that Vader could low blow Sid. But he still can't powerbomb him. So Sid gets up, nails a choke slam on him finally, and wins the match. Uncle Dave gave this 3/4 of a star. He absolutely hated it. I gave it 2 stars. Looking back, maybe 1.5. It wasn't very good. What say you?
I gave it 1. The whole thing sucked.
Well, what I was talking about, I thought it was going to be over in a minute because Sid starts off hot. I can't remember what he does to start off, but he drops Vader and then he nails the Hogan leg drop and gets a near fall. I was like, oh crap, I thought it was done. I thought he was going to job out Vader, but no. But yeah, we get Sid going on to Survivor Series. But after the match, Shawn Michaels gets... Oh, go ahead. I
found this funny, by the way. I was thinking about this. This is his last run in WWE.
Uh-huh.
Every match from International Incident to King of the Ring 97, he either Shawn Michaels involved or he wrestled the British Bulldog. Every single match.
Wow.
It's crazy to me to think that. Like, every pay-per-view, I should clarify. Either Michaels was involved, Michaels was on commentary, or he's wrestling the British Bulldog. Every pay-per-view had to do with those two for Sid.
That's nuts to think about. Yeah.
That covers a lot of pay-per-views, by the way.
Yeah. This also, looking back at it, Vader kind of being boo-boo faced almost kind of makes me think, because you got to realize this was during the time when it was supposed to be Vader versus Shawn for the world title. He was going to get the WWF title, and then Shawn apparently said, I don't want to work with him. He's too rough. So they changed course to Sid. So he was literally giving up his spot to Sid here on pay-per-view. So
the next thing in your house is actually named for Vader too.
Yeah. Which, by the way, like, this is why I know you love Bruce Pritchard. I'm entertained by his show, but he's still, because Conrad was like, well, obviously Vader was going to be the main event. It's called It's Time. Well, that doesn't mean anything. And it's like, what do you mean it doesn't mean anything? It's called It's Time. That's Vader's catchphrase. Well, that doesn't mean we were going to go with Vader. It's like, yes, it effing does. Just, like, quit being a doofus and just own up to it. Like, who cares?
Was this post being rehired by WWE?
No, I think he said this all along. And, like, Conrad can't get it out of him. He just, as much as we talk about that's why Jim Cornette calls him the Artful Dodger. Because you can't get a straight answer out of him to save your freaking life. That's what.
Looking at this card, by the way, Vader wasn't even on It's Time.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't named for Vader. It's like, oh, eat me. It's like Beware of Dog wasn't named after a bulldog, right?
No, it means it's time to get out of 1996 and start a new year. That's what that meant.
Yeah. It's time to push Sid again. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is so stupid. But after the match, Shawn Michaels gets in the ring to confront Sid. They shake hands and celebrate together. So they're pushing Sid as also a babyface. That doesn't last long. But we then get a commercial for Survivor Series weekend. The Hall of Fame ceremony used to happen before Survivor Series, which I was today years old when I found out.
Well, it's only one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it. Didn't it bounce around a few times?
I don't think it comes back until 2004, actually.
Well, I mean, before this, I think it bounced around a couple times, like when it took
I don't
place.
think they had a ceremony. I think they just inducted somebody and kind of recorded it.
Yeah, and they had like a dinner or whatever. Yeah. Right. But either way, Doc Hendricks then tries to interview Sid, but Jim Ross takes over. Like, he just bursts in. He's like, you stand down, Doc. I got this one. And I'm like, well, damn, Jim. But Jim Ross takes over and he asks Sid if he'll do whatever it takes, including breaking Shawn Michaels' back to become the WWF champion. Sid flubs up majorly. Can't figure...
Hey, we are live, pal. So.
Yeah. I was waiting because he sat there like he couldn't remember what he was going to say. I kept waiting for him to step back and be like, hold on, let's do that again. And they were good. Well, we're live, pal.
It was with Jim Ross, by the way.
Yeah, that's good grief. This was ridiculous. But either way, he flubs up his promo, but he says that he will do whatever it takes. And he did. Wasn't this when they brought in Jose Lothario and he takes him out with a camera or something like that?
That was at the match, yeah.
Yeah, so. But then we get a video package for the main event. Such a package. It was of Paul Bearer turning on the Undertaker and aligning with Mankind. And then both Mankind and the Undertaker keep doing tricks to each other, like popping up out of a casket and attacking the other one. The Undertaker comes through the ring for the 5,000th time, and just all that stuff. So all the
all the good stuff.
Yeah, all the mind game stuff. The only thing that didn't happen that this is coming next year is nobody was set on fire quite yet. So that's yet to come. By the way, this was correct me if I'm wrong, Mankind wrapping the Undertaker up in that casket and beating the crap out of it. I think that was like the first of a couple times that would happen to a casket.
Yeah, it's become a staple now.
Yeah, and it's always the metal caskets, obviously. Well, no, I take that back. There was the one at the Royal Rumble 98 that you were at, by the way.
I was.
Yeah, where Kane takes an axe to the wooden one. But I specifically remember, wasn't it Triple H that locked The Rock in a casket and beat it up?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that one specifically.
Because when I think of casket, I think of those two.
Well, yeah, of course.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @mainevent_marks and Facebook at facebook.com/maineventmarkspod.
Now, back to our program.
Well, the main event, ladies and gentlemen, is the Buried Alive match, which is the namesake for this event. It's Mankind with Paul Bearer versus The Undertaker. It went for just shy of 18.5 minutes. During The Undertaker's entrance, they got the fog and the smoke and whatever, and the King insists that it's raining inside.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Why do you have to make it, why do you have to add to it?
This took me back to when I was a kid and Earthquake would enter, and they would kind of shake the camera a little bit, and I would think the entire arena was shaking.
Nice.
And also on that, I would legit think the arena was freezing when the Undertaker came out, because they would say it was chills in here.
Yeah, well, Jim Ross always said, it's getting colder in here. My thing is, I think, because they used dry ice for his entrance, so I think it did get a little chillier, at ringside. So I don't think he was completely full of it, but yeah. Spikes and chairs are all used during this match. Both men battle from the ring back to the dirt, back to the ring, back to the dirt, back to the ring. They're just all over. The Undertaker hits Mankind with a tombstone in the ring. They drags him up to the grave, dumps him in, they fight around for a while. And then the Undertaker finally chokeslams Mankind into the grave. I'm not going to criticize this being a hideous-looking chokeslam, because I wouldn't want to take a bump into hard dirt either. So, he was trying to be nice about it. But the Undertaker just kind of shovels puts a couple shovels worth of dirt on him, and then they're like, all right, you're good, he's buried, you win.
Yeah.
But he wins with that. Uncle Dave actually gave this 3 3/4 stars. I gave it an even 3 for entertainment value. What say you?
I gave it 3 as well, and my reasoning for that, I said it was a fun brawl, but it was never meant to be a wrestling match. So you have to think about that.
Right.
And that's it. That's what it's supposed to be.
I was thoroughly entertained during the actual bell-to-bell stuff.
Yeah. One of my biggest critiques of this match is I feel like it took them a week to bury the Undertaker.
Oh, we're getting to that.
To jump in, but it took a week to get it done. You're 10 dudes out there, and wait, this is still going on.
Yeah, you're it's Tuesday. They're still burying his ass. Well, after the match, the Undertaker refuses to quit burying Mankind. He keeps shoving the referee away. All of a sudden, the debut, and we don't get a name for him, but we know what the name is going to be. The debuting Executioner comes out and smacks the Undertaker in the back with a shovel. And the Executioner, by the way, is Terry Gordy in a mask. Which, by the way,
Slam Master J. By the way, just gonna point that out.
Yeah, that's what he's remembered for. Former Freebird Terry Gordy was given a job basically as a favor to Doc Hendricks, Michael P.S. Hayes, whatever you want to call him. And he was asking, he's like, well, Terry's in a bad way. He needs a job. Can you guys hook him up? And they said, yes, but we don't want Freebird Terry Gordy. So I don't know why they couldn't, he didn't have to be a Freebird. I don't know why they couldn't just bring him in as a big ass kicker like he was in Japan. But I don't know.
No disrespect, but nobody gave a damn about him right here, so that's probably why.
Yeah. It's WWF. They could have made some, I don't know. Either way, they bring him in under, was it just me, or did he look like he was in phenomenal shape?
Yeah, he did. He looked a lot better than before.
Yeah, he wasn't even chunky here. I was like, damn, dude, you've been hitting them weights. Yeah, he looked good, besides the stupid mask, but he unburied Mankind, or dug him up, whatever the hell, took a couple handfuls of dirt off him and pulled him out. And then he threw the Undertaker into the grave. Mick Foley talked about this, by the way, because if you watch, he's face down in the dirt. He said there's a breathing apparatus that's buried there, and he put it on his face so he wasn't suffocating in the dirt. So, because honestly, if he wouldn't have said that, I'd have been like, how are they not suffocating? Because as we just talked about, the Undertaker's going to be completely buried here, face down in the dirt. But they're burying the Undertaker for, like you said, like a week before the heels come out. They're burying him. Even Paul Bearer gets in on the action. And they're flickering the lights, doing the sounds of lightning echoing in the arena. This goes on for eternity. Until they're like, all right, we got to call an audible. I think Bruce Pritchard was like, this is taking forever. Call all the heels, just send them out there with shovels. So we get, Justin Hawk Bradshaw, Gold Dust, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Am I missing someone?
Nah, I think you got all the usual suspects.
Yeah.
The only one they didn't have was Austin, I think.
Yeah. And then we got the Executioner, we got Mankind, we got Paul Bearer. Well, Paul Bearer wasn't digging it first. He was sitting there holding an urn. And they're all burying him. The fans are whipping garbage into the grave, by the way, while they're digging. and Paul Bearer is shouting, yes, the Undertaker is gone forever. I'll pay you all later.
Go on forever.
I'm like, what? And he just after a while, he's like, I can't keep shouting. This is going on for eternity. Mankind, or Mick Foley said him and Justin Hawk Bradshaw looked at each other and were just kind of like, this is going on for eternity. Like, what the hell? And he said he looked in the crowd and both of them saw this father with his kid audibly saying, what the hell am I watching? Oh, man. But everyone is winded at the end of the segment, if you notice.
I was winded from watching this.
I know. I was like, my God, fast forward. But finally, the gong goes off. The heels run for it. Lightning strikes the headstone, and the Undertaker's hand pops up from under the dirt, which Bruce Pritchard refers to as the Carry. If anybody's seen the movie Carrie, you'll get it. Okay, we already did the stupid things Uncle Dave says, but here, get prepared for this one. Uncle Dave thinks that the Undertaker's glove coming out from the dirt after he was buried was pretty much just as stupid as Hulk Hogan pushing the Giant off the roof of an arena at last year's Halloween Havoc.
How is this remotely stupid? This is what he does.
I know. This was his gimmick, pal. You pushed a man off the roof of Cobo Hall, and then, supposedly a mortal man off an arena roof, and then he came back later in the night to dry hump Hulk Hogan.
Not with, wow, with not one scrape on him, by the way.
Yeah, and they're like, oh my God.
I'm sure, a 500-pound man falling off a roof, smacking presumably cement or something, is not going to leave a mark on him. That makes sense.
Yeah.
God, this fool's an idiot.
Yeah, dude. Well, this was stupid. Okay, if you're going for realism, of course it's stupid. But The Undertaker isn't realistic. That's like Jim Cornette talking about, what year was it where all the heels threw The Undertaker into the casket and quote-unquote killed him or whatever?
94.
94, okay. He said, because Jim Cornette was there managing a few people, I think it was with Yokozuna at the time, and a few others. And Cornette said, during the segment, he tried to hide behind anything he could find because he wanted to be as far away from this goofiness as possible. And it's like, okay, somebody like him, whatever, I get it, because he's like, well, it's all about realism, and The Undertaker, whatever. But it's like, this is his gimmick. This is what he does. It's not the Giant's gimmick. to fall off a roof and be okay to come back and dry hump Hulk Hogan and win the world title.
Why do you keep going back to the dry hump?
Because that's what they did. Him and the Yeti tag teamed, did an Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, but
Hulk
the
Hogan.
Yeti really dry humped him more because he was behind him. But
well, yeah, like I said, they pulled an Eiffel Tower on him. Don't Google that. Do not Google that.
Holy crap!
Maybe look it up on Urban Dictionary. I don't know, but either way.
Oh yeah, that's better.
At least you won't get visual.
Google Eiffel Tower would probably be better results than Urban Dictionary.
Well, Urban Dictionary isn't going to give you visual representation, Greg. That was my thing. I don't want them.
I'm 100% sure if someone puts Eiffel Tower in on Google, the first thing they see is the actual Eiffel Tower. So that's your weird mind.
Well, the In Your House Buried Alive show was the first show of 1996, by the way, that Shawn Michaels did not technically main event, because the pay-per-view went off the air after the Undertaker Mankind match. But then Shawn Michaels did end up wrestling a dark match afterwards, which was the final match of the show. So he still sort of main evented. But, I mean, it doesn't really count, because like I said, it was off air.
He technically didn't main event the Royal Rumble.
Was the Royal Rumble the main event?
No. So, I mean, he technically didn't main event that, but, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
potato.
like, yeah. I don't know. But either way, so...
I gotta point out a fun fact for this, by the way. This is kind of interesting. When I saw The Undertaker being buried, I'm like, man, this has happened before. Not like recently, but like kind of recently. And I realized it was almost 14 years to the day later. 14 years and 4 days. That Undertaker wrestled a Paul Bearer managed wrestler and got buried alive by a group of heels. It was at bragging rights against and the Nexus appeared. Like they literally, the month for month, opponent was Kane, but it was like, you know, okay, Kane, Mankind. You can see the similarity there. Paul Bearer was the manager still. It's like they just kind of repeated it 14 years later.
Well, Undertaker has become the Kenny of the WWF.
I just think it's funny. It was like exactly 14 years later, though. And Paul Bearer was still there. And it still took a group of guys to bury him. And then also, he would never get revenge on any of these guys for that.
Right. A couple things Mick Foley also said about this. He said this match, they decided if we ever do this again, we're going to have a backhoe to bury him. So
I feel like every Bury Live going forward, they would just use a earth mover.
The backhoe, yeah. So he said this is exactly why, because of all of this. And if you can see during this, even Mankind's he's like laying in the dirt, physically pushing armfuls of dirt ahead because he's like, holy crap, get this going. And then he said we have 2 dark matches after this. Shawn Michaels is the second one. He takes on Goldust and defeats him for the world title. But he says,
spoilers.
Oh gosh. But the Undertaker, he said, the Undertaker gets buried alive, all these heels, we go out there, we bury him, the lightning strikes, his hand pops, oh my god, he's alive! The Undertaker's alive! The show goes off the air, and here come the Godwins versus the New Rockers. And he said...
That's where the money's being made, right there.
Oh yeah. And he said, that was the first time I've ever been undercard to Al Snow.
Holy crap.
Just how can you take this serious? Like, you just witnessed a man being buried alive and his hand popping up out of the dirt, and then you got to watch the Godwins versus the New Rockers.
I don't see what's wrong with that. But
literally everything. Oh man, this is bad, not good.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @main_event_marks and Facebook at facebook.com/main_event_marks_pod.
Now, back to our program.
The final ratings for the show, man. IMDb gave this 6.5 out of 10. CageMatch.net gave it 6.41 out of 10. I as well gave it 6.5 out of 10. What say you?
I gave it a solid C-. It's kind of watchable. Not something you'll remember.
So what about 7?
Give or take.
Yeah. So yeah, I gave it. I give it a 6.5 because it's like the matches that were on the card were like meh.
It's not the worst piece of crap you'll ever see.
No. I mean, they're much worse. So this was watchable. I'll say that. And I mean, if for nothing else, this main event was fun. So go watch that. And it was historic. The Sid Vader match, not good. The Intercontinental title match was watchable. Tag title match was sucky. and the opening match was fine between Triple H and Austin. It would be weird that, I don't think you can say that match was just okay ever again for Austin and Triple H together.
Yeah, right.
I think they pretty much tore the house down every time they fought each other after this. But
it's really crazy that they opened this pay-per-view and then we're going to do what they did.
Right, yeah. 2-man power trip, baby. But all right, man, that wraps up the show. Next week, we are getting back into the swing of things with a Halloween Havoc. We are going back to the year 1993. That show also involves Vader, but that match was actually good. And it also involves Mick Foley, too. So on October 21st, the show is WCW Halloween Havoc 1993, headlined by Big Van Vader and Cactus Jack in a Texas death match. I've been looking forward to watching this, because I didn't watch any WCW from this era. So they did some cartoonish stuff around here, because wasn't the year before the Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal in 92?
Yep.
I think they did it again here, but they rigged it.
They clearly rigged it this time.
Yeah.
I like how it landed on the worst thing possible, man.
Yeah. Coal Miner's Glove for Jake the Snake versus, was it Sting? Yes, Jake the Snake and Sting. Or, yeah, I know it involved Cactus Jack in some way, shape, or form, but it was horrible. Coal Miner's Glove match. Ah, good lord. But we get, that's on, like I said, October 21st. October 28th, we get the Monday Night Raw from October 28th, 2002. So we're actually getting into the 2000s. Still retro, because this is 18 years ago. And it will, from the time the show airs, it will be 18 years to the day that Raw aired. The main event is Triple H versus Kane in a casket match, and Shawn Michaels gets involved in it. It's good stuff. Very much looking forward to watching that Raw again. I haven't seen it since it aired 18 years ago. But we have a bonus show this month, like we do every month. You and I are looking forward to this. It'll be the first show of its kind that we cover. We are going to go over TNA's Bound for Glory 2010. That was
they arrive.
Yes, they are here. A major thing happened. A couple major things happened that would.
Yeah, I remember this being a huge culmination. I thought it kind of paid off a little bit. I know I might be in the minority of that, but
I mean, I was a big you and I both were big TNA fans during this era, and I know everybody crapped on. And there were certain things I did not like about the Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff era of TNA, but all in all, I thought some good stuff came out of it. Not all of it, but enough. And it kept me interested. So this was a big culmination. Hogan had just got there in January. So this was 10 months in. This was their biggest show of the year. And long-term storytelling, pal. Yeah, so lots to cover on that show. I believe I found a good way to watch it. So we'll leave it at that.
I still have the DVD, I think so.
Ugh, DVD, as you always say.
The hell's that?
Yeah.
In my defense, they don't have Blu-ray for Impact.
No.
I know.
Well, they barely have TV for Impact, but that's beside the point. Either way, we're going to come at you with all that for the rest of October. Thank you for joining me today, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
And we will come at you next week, getting back with Halloween Havoc 1993.